So here we are at the 2018 Tulsa Open. I'm Stu Williams, and I'm going to talk you through the roller coaster that was this title match. The previous game before this, I'd bowled 288, so I was feeling pretty confident, and I had a pretty clear picture of what I was going to do. And when Andrew got up the first frame and split, I was like, that was like, it wasn't necessarily a sigh of relief. It was okay, well, at least he's not going to shoot 297 like he did the previous night against one guy. So, it's always, it was very strange on this TV show because a lot of the guys who bowl on tour are really reluctant to finish the match. But all of the guys who played against me, except Richie, really liked the short pattern more than they liked the long pattern, because we had the 32-foot pattern on this side, Wolf, and then we had Bear on the other side. And I think I heard a statistic when I watched the broadcast back that I was the only player in the whole field, or the only player who made the top 18 who had a higher strike percentage on Bear than I did on Wolf. Well, I guess it was because I didn't have any gutter balls on Bear, because I had quite a few on the short pan. So when I started the ladder for this, I decided that I knew the two balls I was going to use for the ladder. Like, regardless, I was going to use the that hypercell, the really strong ball on the short pattern, and I was just going to try and. That was the only one that I felt like I had any miss room with, so I was just going to try and make that work. And because I could see that most of the other guys wanted to use urethane, I felt like if I could get through the first match against Prather, who actually threw reactive, that either me or Prather, whoever got through that, was going to have an advantage on the short pattern, because we were the only ones using reactive, and the urethane probably wasn't going to be as good if we were left of them. So I got off to a good start on the short with the strike, and then when I came back on the long pattern, or on the Bear pattern, I think I threw it. I think I just thumb downed it a little bit, and I got it to pick up really soon, but it didn't feel like it was that bad a shot. So I think that I was maybe a little eager to get going, seeing Andrew's open and trying to get a double to really put some pressure on him. So I found this kind of strange, Andrew's choice here, because he was really good on the Wolf with reactive and urethane. And I felt like it was a no-brainer to throw reactive, and he got like 16 shots on the pair. He got 4 before, and then he got another 12, I think it was. So I was really surprised that he didn't try and throw a reactive ball at some point, because it just felt like it was so burnt up in the front that the urethane was going to be pretty challenging. So in my mind, I was pretty excited to see him throwing the urethane still, because I just didn't think that was a good play, and I felt like I had the best luck of everybody the whole week on the Bear pattern. So once he got off to the two opens, I was thinking to myself, well, okay, he's going to make a change. He's been bowling great all year, so I'm pretty sure he's going to come back into it, but a 20-pin head start was nice for sure. When that one, I was actually a little surprised that one came back when he threw it at the time, but once he saw that come back, he realized he knew exactly what he needed to do on that lane, and I'm not sure he missed again on that pattern. So he's Richie. Sorry, Richie. I had the front 10 against Richie. And Richie got a couple of bad breaks as well, but I just had such a better ball reaction than he did at that time. I mean, Richie bowled so great that whole week. So when I had the front 10, I made a move further left for this, because I felt like I was going to have to move more in. And I got the ball really far right, and it bounced off it. But at least it skid up the lane, so that gave me the confidence that I could just move into that spot and kind of get the break point further down the lane, and I'd be okay. So on this next shot on the Bear pattern, I'm thinking to myself, okay, no problem. The first one hooked a little bit. You're almost as far left as you want to get. Probably just throw this one just a hair harder, and you'll be fine, because you just need to get through that spot. And I hadn't really done that very many times the whole week, so I threw it a little harder. I threw it great, and then it missed it, and I was just like, okay, the first shot was just terrible. It's kind of fun when you make a change and you do exactly what you want, and then it does that, and it's amusing when you have the Specto, because Specto compares the two shots, for example. So the commentator at this point, if they were looking at Specto, would say, well, he threw that one too hard. Well, I did throw it too hard, but I meant to throw it harder. So that was, the first shot was just a lot worse than I thought it was. So now at this point, I'm thinking to myself, okay, you're probably just going to have to take that step a little bit further left, but just keep the speed that you had before and just, let it go. So I'm a little frustrated that I've let the chance of, really putting the pressure on Andrew go. But at the same time, I'm still thinking, it's okay, I've stayed clean. He's got the 2 opens on the board. He's going to have to make a lot of good shots at this point. So Andrew obviously made a move on this shot. And he got it way further right, and it came back really nice, and he threw a great shot there. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm definitely in the game now. He's kind of got the 2 lanes figured out. I still felt like he had another 3 shots, including the 10th frame on that short pattern, and I just didn't think that I didn't think anybody could throw with as little miss areas he was going to have with the urethane. So I'm really trying to just focus on what I'm going to do on the bear pattern, because that had been my go-to all week. So it's kind of not really too worried about what Andrew's doing right now, because I know that he's going to be he's going to make good shots. He's going to keep it in play. And he's going to make me have to get good shots down the stretch. So I get up on the short pattern, and I think that at this point I threw a pretty decent shot, but I don't think I got it quite as far right as I wanted to. And I think, if I remember correctly, on this shot, a 9-pin. And it was at that point I realised that I had to be much more aggressive on this on the short pattern and getting the ball to the right. See, that one didn't get anywhere near enough to the right. But because it's still 9-pinned, I was actually quite happy about that 9-pin. I mean, shocking as it may seem that I was happy to get 9, but it looked a lot better than it was when it hit the pins. To me, I was kind of expecting to split, and I'd 4-6 a couple of times on that lane. So I think I 4-6 twice, once against EJ and once against Prather. So I was kind of like, in my own mind, I was resetting, like, okay, that's the 4-6, just make you move off whatever you were going to do for that. And I just moved a little bit further left on that one and just threw it, like, really made sure I got it to the right. So for this next shot, I had a pretty clear picture in my mind about what I wanted to do, because this is what I've been doing all week, and I'd kind of, the first 2 frames, I'd just thrown one bad shot, and then I'd kind of made a move off that, not realizing how bad the shot was. So it was just take a couple of deep breaths and just get the ball right and be soft. And then when it come back, I felt pretty good that I'd made the right change, and just now I had 4 frames left to just try and finish this match out, because I knew that Andrew had got lined up, and he was obviously feeling good. He'd got to the ball return a lot quicker than he had been doing, so he was ready to go.
To take the lead here, this is an opportunity for a lead change in the 6th frame, as Andrew is working on 3 strikes in a row.
It's amazing. You sit there and you start to think about just you're trying to convince yourself to think about making good shots, but you're also thinking about how many times you've been in this position before and not got it done. So then you're kind of fighting the demons a little bit. But this was kind of what I was meaning about Andrew with it. It wasn't that bad a shot, but he got it that bit further right, and then the ball just burnt up too much, and it wouldn't make it back.
And he made an adjustment and went flush. And it's like he kept that sort of same thought.
Almost chops the spare. but gets it
That was
done.
a
Spare there. He's
that was
down
definitely an interesting
5-3 with
spare.
4 frames to go.
The pin setting
See that one came down a little
on like
bit.
the 2 pin on that lane was quite strange because that was actually a dead chop the whole way down, but because the 2 pin was a little closer to the 5 or whichever way round it was, he got away with it. But I mean, I think pretty much half the reason why he got close to chopping it was because the 2 pins were so close, so he kind of just got up and threw at it.
Make sure it doesn't overhook, and it certainly didn't that time, so that'll give him something to think about in the 8th frame as well.
7th frame, Andrew Anderson.
Another really good shot by Andrew on that lane.
Delivers a strike.
I actually wondered after the match whether, in hindsight, he'd have wished that he'd have let me start the match, because he'd have put me in like a more uncomfortable position, like having to finish the match off. And he actually had a much better look on the bear pattern than he did on the short pattern when he was using urethane. But I mean, when you're in those positions, you've just got to commit to one thing, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, you know, it's kind of unfortunate. But in a one-game shootout, you can't really have like 2 or 3 different plans. So that one was that one I rolled it off my hand really well, but I still didn't quite get it as far right as I wanted to. But fortunately for me, I got the nice kick off the wall with the head pin taking out the 9 pin. That hit actually happened quite regularly that week. The pins were flying around a lot in that bowling center for me. I think they were for most of the people, especially the people who made the top 5, of course.
That worked for him that time.
So again, I was feeling pretty confident right now because I knew, like all week, I'd been doing pretty much the same thing on the bear pattern. The only difference, I changed away from the phase 2 once we got to this pair and got into this older hypercell fused, hypercell skid, because the ball got through the front so nice that I was able to just use speed to control the down lane motion. So I got steep, and that one was probably the best shot of the match. And at this point, I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's 2 more good shots. Whatever Andrew does, you just need to throw 2 more good shots. And I mean, that one, like I say, that one might have been the best shot I threw on the whole TV show.
It looked like it flew down the lane and destroyed the pins, but I think we're used to seeing the slow motion ones. But that was a fantastic camera angle and showing exactly how good Stu's ball motion is right now.
So Stu has delivered 2 pressure-packed strikes and put all the pressure on Andrew Anderson in the 8th frame.
I'll say this is Andrew's tricky lane.
So Andrew threw a really nice shot there. Rolled it really good and just kept it that bit more in front of him, and like he went through the pins perfect.
And this is a critical 9th frame, foundation frame shot coming up for Anderson, as he will look to cut the deficit to 3 and put significant pressure on Stu Williams going into the final 2 frames.
Andrew, our potential player of the year this year against Stu Williams, the form bowler of this month. Big shot here for Andrew. He's throwing the last 3 great on this lane. Let's see what he does this time.
Then he threw another really good shot there. Yeah, I mean, in this match, I think the biggest difference was the fact that his first 2 shots at the start of the game weren't very good, but he managed to split on both of them. And I had the 2 bad shots in the 2nd and the 4th frame, and I kind of got away with both of them, like leaving something I could spare. But at this point, I was just like, just make sure you get the ball to the right. You know, stay firm with it. It's coming off almost every time, so just get the ball to the right, as far as you can to the right, and then again, it was okay, but it still wasn't quite as far right as I was wanting to. But being able to, because I've got such an end over end roll, once the oil carries down a little bit, I can get away with those shots a little bit more. But that, I think if I remember rightly, I moved 1 left on that shot from the previous frame with the 9 pin. So right now, I'm just going through the process of just that thing that we always like try and focus on, you know, when you're practicing. You're just trying to think about one shot, one step at a time in your approach. So you just take a deep breath and just, you know, do what you do. And it's nice that I was able to do something I feel so comfortable doing when I needed the strike to win. So I got the ball right, and that one was perfect. So now,
He knows he's on the
on this
cusp
next shot,
of winning the title.
I'm realizing that I
Just a
need
little more work to do.
8 spare on 9.
The significantly
So
overdue Stu
I
Williams
figure
will hold his
that
second
the only way that I've missed the whole week is to 210. So suddenly a little bit of doubt comes into my mind. So I'm thinking to myself, it's fine, just take a deep breath. But you know, the only miss that we don't want is the 210, because I mean, even worst case scenario, I get 7. If I go through the nose, more than likely it's going to be the 3-6-10, because I left the 3-6-10 a lot on this pattern. So I guess 7 years of hurt was messing with my mind a little bit. So I just wouldn't 210, and I cut it a little short, and then, like I say, it looked down. Somebody looked down on me and got that 10 pin out to leave me just the 9. But I felt like after all those times that I was probably due a break, and if it was going to be just a small one like that, then it was probably about time. I'm sure Andrew felt differently, but like for me, it was just that was a lot of practice and a lot of heartache over those previous few years, all coming out on that one frame, and you know, you're just taking a huge deep breath, because you're just like you're almost wondering whether you're going to collapse. You need that extra oxygen, because it's been so long since you'd won. And you know, it was really cool, because we were going to Wichita the next week straight from there. All of the guys that we room with, we have a pretty big group of all the foreign guys. You know, Dom and Oscar and Martin and Jesper and the 2 Frans, and then we had Kyle with us as well. So we had a really big group, and it was cool because they were all there. They were all there cheering me on. So it was definitely a fun time to be able to share it with those guys, because you know, they've been with me through that all that time, most of them, and it's just, you know, I'd managed to lose twice out the last 3 tournaments in the final, so to finally get it done was definitely emotional.
He is pumped up, and Tina and Brady back home couldn't be more proud as Stu grabs that title.